6. A broad united front of both unity and struggle. Point 4 for China's semi-colonial nature and contradictions. Historical context. China's semi-colonial and agrarian status, shaped by imperialist aggression, created a landscape of intense contradictions. These contradictions allowed the Chinese New Democratic Revolution to strategically mobilize forces and defeat enemies, imperialist, feudalist, and bureaucratic capitalists, one by one. Errors in revolutionary strategy. Right opportunism. Advocated for an unprincipled united front, reducing the proletariat to a subordinate role to the bourgeoisie. Examples include Chen policies during 1924-1927, rightist mistakes in the early stages of the War of Resistance to Japanese aggression. Mao described this approach as all unity and no struggle. Left opportunism rejected the possibility of a united front, isolating the proletariat, farm laborers, and poor peasants. Manifested during the 10-year Civil War period, Mao described this as all struggle and no unity. Leninist and Stalinist principles of united front. Distinction between bourgeois classes. Stalin in 1927 distinguished the role of the bourgeoisie in imperialist countries from the national bourgeoisie in colonial or semi-colonial countries. Imperialist bourgeoisie, oppressors opposed the revolution in every stage. National bourgeoisie could support anti-imperialist revolutions under certain historical conditions. Proletarian independence in the united front. While forming alliances, the proletariat must maintain its independent identity and leadership, avoid becoming an appendage to the bourgeoisie. Mao Tse-Tung's development of united front policies, both unity and struggle. Mao identified the dual character of the Chinese bourgeoisie, progressive aspect, capable of supporting anti-imperialist efforts, reactionary aspect, tied to feudalism and imperialism. The policy of unity and struggle involved uniting with the bourgeoisie where their interests aligned with the revolution, struggling against their reactionary tendencies to maintain proletarian leadership, opposition to extremes. Mao opposed both. Right opportunism denied the necessity of struggle with the bourgeoisie. Left opportunism denied the necessity of unity with the bourgeoisie. Experience with the Kuomintang. Lessons from the United Front. The Communist Party's alliance with the Kuomintang during the War of Resistance to Japanese aggression exemplified the necessity of Mao's unity and struggle approach. Rightists underestimated the bourgeoisie's reactionary tendencies, while leftists ignored their potential as temporary allies. Correct policy and practice. Mao's strategy balanced cooperation with resistance, ensuring that the proletariat retained its leadership role in the united front. Strategic and historical implications. Unity with caution. The success of the Chinese Revolution demonstrated that alliances with the national bourgeoisie, while necessary, required vigilance and strategic struggle. Proletarian leadership. The revolution's success hinged on the proletariat's ability to navigate complex class relationships while maintaining its independent revolutionary line. Shifting dangers of opportunism. Left opportunism. Main danger before the United Front. During the Second Revolutionary Civil War, 1927-1936, left opportunists denied the necessity of a broad united front. They failed to unite with the petty bourgeoisie or sections of the national bourgeoisie, isolating the proletariat. This hindered the party's ability to mobilize broad masses and exploit class contradictions to advance the revolution. Persistence despite changing conditions. Even after Japan's 1931 invasion of northeast China, left opportunists clung to their rigid views, obstructing the party's work. Right opportunism. Main danger after the United Front. Following the establishment of the anti-Japanese National United Front in 1937, some former left opportunists, represented by figures like Chen shifted to right opportunist errors. They overemphasized unity and ignored the necessity of struggle within the United Front, risking the independence and leadership of the Communist Party. Anti-Japanese National United Front. Formation of a broad front. The United Front included various forces, even reactionary elements of the Kuomintang led by Chiang Kai-shek due to the military strength of the Kuomintang, the global context of American-Japanese imperialist conflict in the Far East, Mao Tse-Tung's class analysis of the front. Mao identified three groups within the United Front. Left group, progressive forces to be developed and consolidated. Middle group, to be urged toward progress and change. Right group, reactionary diehards to be isolated. He proposed a strategy of developing the progressive forces, winning over the middle forces, and isolating the diehard forces. Errors of right opportunists in the United Front. Ignoring class distinctions. Right opportunists like Chen Xiaoyu denied differences among left, middle, and right groups, treating the Communist Party and Kuomintang as equal partners. This viewpoint effectively protected the reactionary elements within the Kuomintang. Surrendering independence. They opposed Mao's principle of independence and autonomy in the United Front, advocating for decisions to be made by the Kuomintang. Militarily, they supported merging the communist-led People's Army with the Kuomintang's forces, which aligned with Chiang Kai-shek's counter-revolutionary objectives. Mao Tse-Tung's principle of independence and autonomy. Strategic purpose. Mao emphasized the need to maintain and expand the party's foothold, which served as a base for mobilizing the masses into the anti-Japanese National United Front, a foundation for overthrowing Japanese imperialism and securing a revolutionary victory. Critique of right opportunism. Mao condemned those who conceded to the Kuomintang's anti-people policies, trusted the Kuomintang more than the masses, lacked the initiative to expand liberated areas and the People's Army, risked losing the leading role of the Communist Party in the anti-Japanese war. Outcome of correct policies. Victory for the people. Mao's policies ensured that the Communist Party retained its leadership and independence while navigating the complexities of the United Front. The principles of independence and autonomy, combined with effective class analysis and military strategy, turned the War of Resistance into a revolutionary victory for the Chinese people. Right opportunist misjudgments. Chen Xiaoyu's miscalculations. Chen Xiaoyu expressed confidence that after the War of Resistance, Chiang Kai-shek's Kuomintang would continue as the dominant political force in China, portraying Chiang as a future immortal national hero. This view dismissed the possibility of a people's democracy led by the Communist Party, reflecting a pessimistic and harmful underestimation of the Communist Party's strength and the Chinese people's revolutionary potential. Concessions to the Kuomintang. Right opportunists sought unity with the Kuomintang through passive and one-sided concessions, ignoring the reality of Chiang Kai-shek's counter-revolutionary intentions. They failed to grasp that unity required active struggle, not submission, to achieve solidarity among anti-Japanese forces. Mao Tse-Tung's strategy of unity and struggle. Active struggle as a means to unity. Mao emphasized that solidarity within the United Front could only be achieved through active struggle. Struggles against reactionary elements stabilized and strengthened the United Front. Concessions, on the other hand, weakened the Communist Party and jeopardized the revolution. Twofold revolutionary policy. Mao's approach balanced unity and struggle to counter the Kuomintang's duplicity. The Kuomintang both resisted Japan and sought to undermine the Communist Party. By mobilizing the masses, stabilizing vacillating elements, and isolating the die-hard clique, the Communist Party maintained the anti-Japanese united front to the war's conclusion. Role of People's Armed Forces. Foundation of the United Front. The United Front with Chiang Kai-shek was possible only because of the existence of the People's Armed Forces led by the Communist Party. Without the armed forces, the Kuomintang would have had no incentive to form the United Front. Justified armed struggle. Mao recognized that armed struggle within the United Front was inevitable, as Chiang Kai-shek continuously sought to weaken the Communist Party. Justified, advantageous, and restrained armed struggles were necessary to defend the people's forces and anti-Japanese bases. The Communist Party successfully repelled Chiang Kai-shek's 3 counter-revolutionary assaults, safeguarding its forces and the revolutionary bases. Critique of right opportunists. Failure to understand unity's basis. Right opportunists misunderstood that the United Front was primarily a union of armed forces compelled by circumstances, not an organic alliance. They ignored Chiang Kai-shek's persistent attempts to undermine and eliminate the Communist Party. Ignoring the need for struggle, right opportunists failed to anticipate or prepare for inevitable struggles within the United Front, leaving the Communist Party vulnerable to counter-revolutionary attacks. Outcome of Mao's policies. Victory in the War of Resistance. The Communist Party's twofold policy of unity and struggle ensured the survival and growth of the people's armed forces, the preservation of anti-Japanese bases, a successful conclusion to the War of Resistance, discrediting right opportunism. Contrary to Chen Xiaoyu's predictions, Chiang Kai-shek became a traitor despised by the people, while the Communist Party emerged as the genuine leader of the revolution. The party's resilience and strategic acumen under Mao's leadership secured victory for the Chinese people. Mao Tse-Tung's principles for the anti-Japanese United Front. 3 principles for struggle. Mao emphasized that struggles within the United Front must be justified, rooted in sound reasons and broad support, advantageous, bringing tangible benefits to the revolution, restrained, limited in scope to avoid unnecessary escalation or self-isolation. These principles aim to develop progressive forces, win over middle forces, and isolate die-hard reactionaries. Consistency of national and class struggle. Mao's strategy harmonized national struggle against Japan with internal class struggle, embodying the Marxist-Leninist art of revolution. This approach effectively prepared the Communist Party and the people ideologically, politically, and militarily for post-war challenges. Role of the national bourgeoisie. Position during the War of Resistance. The national bourgeoisie, a middle force, sought to resist Japanese imperialism and secure political power, despite its contradictions with the proletariat. Mao advocated a policy of unity towards its revolutionary potential and criticism of its wavering and compromising tendencies. This approach stiffened the national bourgeoisie's stance against imperialism without alienating it from the United Front. Post-war context. After the Japanese defeat, the national bourgeoisie continued to face oppression from Chiang Kai-shek's big landlord and bureaucratic bourgeoisie regime, American imperialism's economic and political interference. Mao emphasized continuing the united front with the national bourgeoisie, combining unity and struggle to advance revolutionary goals. Economic united front after victory. Necessity of economic cooperation. Due to China's backward economy, Mao advocated utilizing urban and rural capitalism to benefit the national economy and people's livelihood. The national bourgeoisie's industrial contributions were welcomed under a policy of unity. Dual policy towards the national bourgeoisie, unity, encouraging enthusiasm for industrial development and economic growth. Struggle, opposing speculative, monopolistic, or manipulative practices that harmed the national economy or violated government laws and plans. Impact on the People's Republic of China. This balanced approach contributed to financial and economic achievements, including successful national movements such as Resist American Aggression and Aid Korea, the suppression of counter-revolutionaries and agrarian reform efforts, critique of opportunist errors, right opportunism, sacrifice the proletariat's independence and leadership within the United Front, resulted in failure to secure revolutionary victories and undermined the Communist Party's position. Left opportunism, denied the necessity of alliances with middle forces, isolating the Communist Party and strengthening the enemy, hindered efforts to maximize unity against common enemies during critical revolutionary phases. Strategic outcomes of Mao's policies. Victory in the revolution. Mao's policies of unity and struggle effectively isolated reactionary forces, strengthened progressive and middle forces, mobilized broad popular support for the revolution, economic development and national sovereignty. Mao's pragmatic economic policies ensured stability and growth in the early years of the People's Republic of China, unified national forces to resist imperialist aggression and advance social reforms. 7 problems regarding the transition from democratic revolution to socialist revolution. 60 Comrade, Mao Tse-Tung's vision for revolution. Dual objectives. Mao emphasized 2 clear objectives for Communist Party members. Present. Struggle for the new bourgeois democratic revolution. Future. Transition to the proletarian socialist revolution. These objectives, rooted in Marxist principles, define the party's ultimate goal of advancing China into socialism and communism. Commitment to clarity and patience. Mao advocated for resolutely opposing enmity and slander from opponents while patiently explaining communist ideals to skeptics. The inevitability of socialism in China is framed as governed by both world and Chinese historical laws. Critique of opportunist views. Right opportunism. Denial of socialist future. Rightists viewed the bourgeoisie as the sole leader of the bourgeois democratic revolution and its primary beneficiary. Chen explicitly denied the potential for socialism, framing the revolution's victory as exclusive to the bourgeoisie. Left opportunism. Confusion between revolution stages. Left opportunists blurred the distinction between the bourgeois democratic and socialist revolutions. They prematurely sought to transition to socialism, ignoring the foundational need for completing the democratic revolution. This impetuosity denied the possibility of achieving the democratic revolution, which in turn jeopardized the socialist future. Interchangeability of errors. Opportunists on both ends misjudged the nature and sequence of revolution. Right opportunists ignored socialism altogether. Left opportunists dismissed the necessity of completing the democratic revolution before transitioning to socialism. Mao Tse-Tung's development of revolutionary theory. Nature of the Chinese Revolution. Mao upheld the Communist International's view that the Chinese Revolution was still bourgeois democratic in nature. He emphasized completing the democratic revolution to lay the groundwork for the socialist revolution. Theory of transition. Mao advanced Lenin and Stalin's teachings on revolutionary transition, opposing Trotskyite theory of permanent revolution, which bypasses necessary stages. Adventurism and impatience, which harm the revolution by rushing its progression. Stages of revolution. Mao advocated for a clear progression from the democratic republic to socialism, avoiding the pitfalls of either opportunism or adventurism. Strategic implications for revolution. Commitment to the democratic revolution. Mao stressed that completing the bourgeois democratic revolution is essential for nurturing the conditions necessary for socialism. Premature attempts to initiate socialist revolution could undermine the broader revolutionary goals. Balance between struggles. The party must resist the tendencies to subordinate the revolution to bourgeois interests, right opportunism. Misjudge the timing and character of the socialist revolution, left opportunism. Opposition to impatience and idealism. Mao's insistence on a gradual and strategic transition ensures that revolutionary momentum is sustained and that socialism is achieved systematically. Two stages of the Chinese Revolution, democratic and socialist revolutions. Mao Tse-Tung emphasized that the Chinese revolutionary movement consists of two distinct yet interconnected stages. Democratic revolution, a necessary foundation and preparation for the socialist stage. Socialist revolution, the inevitable outcome and continuation of the democratic revolution. Correct leadership requires understanding the differences and connections between these two stages. New democratic revolution as a transitional stage. The new democratic revolution bridges the transition from colonial, semi-colonial, and semi-feudal society to a socialist society. The success of this transformation is rooted in the leadership of the proletariat and the Communist Party. Leadership of the Communist Party. Unique role of the Communist Party. Mao asserted that no bourgeois or petty bourgeois party could lead the two revolutions to their full realization. From its inception, the Communist Party assumed responsibility for both the democratic and socialist revolutions, ensuring their eventual success. Class leadership. The proletariat, under the Communist Party's guidance, provides the necessary leadership to steer both revolutions toward their ultimate goals. Interplay of capitalist and socialist factors. Outcome of the democratic revolution. Mao predicted that after the new democratic revolution, capitalism would develop to some degree in economically backward China. However, this would not define the revolution's entire outcome. Capitalist factors. Limited growth of capitalism within the bounds of the revolutionary framework. Socialist factors. Progressive development of socialist elements under proletarian leadership. Socialist factors in the political sphere. Following the victory of the new democratic revolution, socialist factors include the working class's leading position in state power, control of the people's armed forces by proletarian leadership. These socialist factors were institutionalized in the common program of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. Avoiding misinterpretation, rejection of oversimplification. Mao warned against conflating the democratic and socialist revolutions, as this would undermine the distinct objectives of each stage. However, it is equally incorrect to ignore the presence of socialist factors within the democratic revolution's framework. Marxist-Leninist conclusion. The new democratic revolution is characterized by the coexistence of capitalist and socialist elements, which are managed and guided under proletarian leadership to prepare for the eventual transition to socialism. Practical validation of Mao's theory. Verification through development. Political and economic developments after the new democratic revolution confirmed Mao's Marxist-Leninist analysis. The leadership of the working class and the Communist Party ensured the progressive incorporation of socialist factors into the state apparatus and economy, ensuring revolutionary progress. By balancing capitalist development with socialist elements, the Communist Party maintained revolutionary momentum, preventing stagnation or regression. Socialist factors in the economic sphere. Confiscation and state ownership. A key socialist factor resulting from the new democratic revolution was the confiscation of enterprises owned by imperialists and bureaucratic capitalists and transferring their ownership to the People's Republic. Mao Tse-Tung stated this enabled the state to control the main artery of the national economy, turning it into the leading force of the entire people's economy. According to the Common Program, state-owned enterprises were defined as socialist in nature, not capitalist, the public property of the people, forming the material basis for production and economic development, agricultural and cooperative initiatives, mutual aid teams, agricultural producers' cooperatives, and supply and marketing cooperatives among peasants were developed during the new democratic revolution. These initiatives contained socialist elements and served as transitional forms toward full socialism. Transition to socialism, necessary prerequisites. While full socialist transformation required time, the new democratic revolution provided the necessary prerequisites and opened the path for progress. Mao emphasized deliberate and systematic preparation for the eventual transition to socialism, ensuring it would be done deliberately and properly. Conditions for advancing to socialism. According to Mao, the transition to socialism would occur when economic and cultural prosperity had been achieved. Various conditions were ready. Nationwide agreement was reached through mature deliberation. 8. Problems on the building of the party's 69 critique of opportunism. Right opportunism. Undermined the communist ideal. Rightists treated communism as an abstract, distant goal rather than a living and achievable reality. This approach effectively stalled progress towards socialism and reduced the revolutionary momentum. Left opportunism. Ignored transitional necessities. Leftists dismissed the need for gradual progress and transitional phases. By ignoring the living, dynamic process of revolution, they sought premature implementation of communist ideals, which was unrealistic. Mao's balanced approach. Mao combined rigid adherence to communist principles with flexibility in policies to align with historical realities and conditions in China. This ensured communism in China remained both attainable and a living, practical force. Outcome and vision for communism in China, practical and attainable. Mao's approach to communism rejected utopian idealism and unattainable objectives, rooting it in concrete realities and achievable stages. The revolution's progress was assured through systematic preparation and a clear path to socialism. Living force of communism. Mao's policies infused communism with vitality, ensuring it was not an abstract ideal, but a guiding force for China's socio-economic transformation. This approach ensured that the revolution's achievements were tangible, sustainable, and rooted in the people's needs and aspirations. Mao Tse-Tung's approach to Bolshevization of the party. Revolutionary Party as a prerequisite. Mao emphasized the necessity of building a revolutionary party of the Lenin-Stalin type, modeled after the Communist Party of the Soviet Union CPSU. Such a party requires Marxist-Leninist theory as its foundation, ideological unity and discipline, a close connection with the masses, role of Marxist-Leninist theory. Lenin, a party guided by advanced theory is essential for leading the revolution. Stalin, Mastery of Marxist-Leninist theory is crucial for confidently advancing and leading the working class. Transforming the party. Under Mao's leadership, the Communist Party of China, CPC, became the driving force behind China's revolution, fundamentally transforming its political landscape. Mao linked the party's success to its ability to synthesize Marxist-Leninist theory with the practical realities of the Chinese Revolution. Key elements of party consolidation. Marxist-Leninist unity. Unity in Marxist-Leninist ideology is a foundation for organizational discipline and coordination. Mao emphasized raising the ideological level of Marxism-Leninism across the party to prepare for historical tasks. Faith in the masses. Mao linked the party's invincibility to its ability to master Marxism-Leninism, maintain faith in the masses, and stay closely connected with them. Combating erroneous ideologies. Mao identified two major forms of subjectivism within the party: dogmatism, rigid adherence to abstract principles without regard for practical realities; empiricism, reliance on practical experience without integrating theoretical insights. Both ideologies shared a common flaw: one-sidedness, which disregards the unity of theory and practice. Struggle against opportunism. Dogmatism and empiricism formed the basis for right and left opportunism within the party. These ideologies deviated from Marxism-Leninism in epistemology, creating a fundamental divide between correct and erroneous ideologies. Mao's strategy for ideological consolidation. Linking Marxism-Leninism with party spirit. Mao equated a scientific Marxist attitude with strong party spirit, asserting that an incomplete Marxist approach reflected deficiencies in party spirit. Correct leadership requires adherence to Marxism-Leninism as a unified theory of practice. Overcoming ideological weaknesses. Mao identified the need to defeat subjectivist tendencies such as dogmatism and empiricism, build a party capable of synthesizing theory and practice, invincibility through ideological clarity. Mao believed that mastery of Marxism-Leninism and strong ties with the masses would enable the party to overcome any obstacle and ensure revolutionary success. Key outcomes of Mao's efforts. Defeating opportunism. Mao's ideological campaign within the party was essential to combating opportunism and ensuring ideological cohesion. By addressing subjectivism, Mao strengthened the party's ability to guide the revolution effectively. Building a revolutionary vanguard. The CPC became a disciplined, Bolshevized party capable of leading the Chinese people through successive victories. The integration of Marxist-Leninist theory with the practical needs of the Chinese Revolution solidified the party's role as a revolutionary vanguard. Subjectivism and its social basis. Petty bourgeoisie influence. The petty bourgeoisie is the social basis of subjectivist ideologies, such as dogmatism and empiricism, which plagued the Communist Party of China. Many party members came from the petty bourgeoisie and joined with residual petty bourgeois tails, influencing their ideological tendencies. Persistent struggle against subjectivism. Mao Tse-Tung recognized this issue early and consistently fought against subjectivism to align the party with Marxist-Leninist principles. In 1929, Mao stressed replacing subjective analysis with the Marxist-Leninist method of political and class analysis, conducting social and economic investigations to base tactics on actual conditions, avoiding fantasy and adventurism. Mao's philosophical contributions. Key works. In 1937, Mao published On Practice and On Contradiction, addressing the theoretical flaws of subjectivism and providing tools for overcoming dogmatism and empiricism. Rectification movement. Mao launched the rectification movement to combat these ideological errors and strengthen party discipline and cohesion. This movement was a pivotal historical moment for the party, correcting erroneous ideologies and enhancing leadership. Dogmatism and empiricism. Characteristics and errors. Dogmatism. Rigid reliance on theoretical knowledge without applying it to real-world practice. Empiricism. Over-reliance on practical experience without theoretical analysis or systematization. Both share the flaw of one-sidedness, neglecting the unity of theory and practice. Mao's corrective approach. Mao urged party members theoreticians, ground their understanding in real-world conditions to avoid dogmatism. Practitioners. Study theory to systematize and generalize experiences, avoiding empiricism. Unity of theory and practice. Mao frequently cited Stalin. Theory becomes aimless if it is not connected with revolutionary practice, just as practice gropes in the dark if its path is not illumined by revolutionary theory. Correcting both errors ensures alignment of theory with practice, achieving Marxist-Leninist epistemology. Synthesizing Marxism-Leninism with Chinese practice. Mass line leadership. Mao's leadership approach is rooted in the mass line. Collect opinions from the masses and study them. Systematize these ideas into actionable plans. Propagate and explain the ideas to the masses, ensuring they understand and adopt them. Test these ideas through mass actions and refine them based on feedback. This iterative cycle deepens the correctness, vividness, and richness of the party's leadership. Universal truth and local practice. Mao's leadership is defined as the synthesis of the universal truth of Marxism-Leninism with the specific conditions of the Chinese Revolution. This approach ensures that revolutionary strategies remain grounded in both global theoretical insights and local realities. Key outcomes of Mao's approach. Strengthen party leadership. By addressing subjectivist tendencies and aligning theory with practice, Mao bolstered the party's ability to lead effectively. The rectification movement solidified ideological clarity and organizational discipline. Marxist-Leninist epistemology in action. Mao's iterative, mass-based approach ensured that the party's leadership remained dynamic, adaptable, and rooted in the lived realities of the people. Crystallizing and applying the opinions of the masses. Role of Marxism-Leninism. Effective leadership requires adherence to the guiding principles of Marxism-Leninism. Empiricists fail to systematize opinions, leading to scattered and ineffective guidance. Dogmatists ignore the evolving experiences of the masses, making their leadership rigid and detached. Mao's approach. Mao emphasized the iterative process of gathering, studying, and applying the masses' opinions, rooted in the general principles of Marxism-Leninism, to ensure the party's leadership aligns with revolutionary reality. The struggle between correct and erroneous leadership. Party history as a struggle. The party's history is marked by the struggle between correct Marxist-Leninist leadership and anti-Marxist-Leninist leadership. Mao's leadership overcame subjectivism and opportunism, leading the revolution to eventual victory. Subjectivism and sectarianism. Subjectivism. Ideological isolation from the masses, leading to theoretical errors. Sectarianism. Political and organizational isolation, manifesting as exclusivity and mutual antagonism within and outside the party. Mao identified these as two sides of the same problem, rooted in petty bourgeois narrow-mindedness. Mao's contributions to combating sectarianism. Unity and inclusivity. Mao attacked sectarianism as a corrosive and centrifugal force that undermines party unity and its connection with the masses. Sectarianism manifests in internal relations, mutual exclusiveness that affects party solidarity; external relations, exclusivity toward non-party individuals, hindering national unity. Eradicating sectarianism, Mao argued that ideological, political, and organizational correctness is essential for achieving party unity and ensuring revolutionary success. The party must overcome sectarianism to unite all comrades and the masses effectively. The rectification movement, purpose and form. Mao introduced the rectification movement as a method of inter-party struggle, combining study of party history and Marxist-Leninist literature, criticism and self-criticism. Goals of the movement: learn from past mistakes to avoid future errors, treat ideological weaknesses to strengthen comrades rather than ostracize them. Principles of rectification: take warning from the past to be more careful in the future. Treat the illness to cure the patient. Mao emphasized exposing errors not to punish, but to educate and rehabilitate individuals who sincerely wish to correct themselves. Criticism and self-criticism. Mao advocated for a constructive approach. Errors must be analyzed scientifically and addressed without alienating individuals. The party's goal is to nurture comrades back into alignment with Marxist-Leninist principles, provided they are willing to change. Key outcomes of Mao's approach: strengthen party unity. By addressing sectarianism and subjectivism, Mao consolidated the party's ranks and improved relations with the masses. Correct leadership and inclusive relations laid the foundation for inevitable revolutionary success. Dynamic and correct leadership. Mao's rectification process ensured the party's leadership remained adaptive, resilient, and ideologically sound. The movement cultivated a culture of self-awareness and ideological vigilance within the party. Alignment with revolutionary goals. Mao's emphasis on combining theory with practice and inclusivity with discipline ensured the party could effectively lead China's revolutionary transformation. Purpose of the rectification movement: clarifying ideology and uniting comrades. Mao Tse-Tung emphasized the twofold purpose of the rectification movement: clarify ideological errors, unite party members. This required a serious attitude to counter liberalism, a prudent approach to avoid harshness or alienation. Long-term benefits. The rectification movement, initiated in 1942, significantly altered the party's ideological and organizational dynamics, benefiting its growth and effectiveness. Achievements of the rectification movement: elevation of ideological levels. The movement elevated the Marxist-Leninist ideological understanding across the party. This ideological advancement fortified the party's ability to implement Mao's political line effectively. Unprecedented unity. The party rallied around the Central Committee and Mao Tse-Tung, fostering internal unity and cohesion. This unity was pivotal in executing revolutionary strategies and achieving successive victories. Eradication of ideological flaws. The movement eliminated subjectivism, sectarianism, and their associated manifestations, such as party jargon, ensuring a clear and actionable political direction. Impact of the Seventh Party Congress, April 1945 Foundation for Revolution. The Congress unified the party and summarized the successes achieved through Mao's leadership during the War of Resistance to Japanese aggression. It laid out the policy and program for achieving nationwide revolutionary victory. Validation of Mao's political line. The events following the Congress, culminating in the complete success of the Chinese Revolution, demonstrated the correctness of the Congress's decisions and Mao's political line. Role of ideological rectification. The rectification movement prepared party cadres ideologically and politically to fulfill the tasks set by the Congress, ensuring their triumphant execution. Transformation into a Bolshevized party, Marxist-Leninist Revolutionary Party. Under Mao's leadership, the Communist Party of China, CPC, became a Marxist-Leninist revolutionary organization capable of addressing any historical task. This transformation mirrored the Bolshevization of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Legacy of the rectification movement. The ideological and organizational advancements achieved through rectification ensured continued progress in future revolutionary tasks, confidence in achieving future victories, foundation for future success. The rectification movement and the unity fostered by Mao's leadership provide a solid foundation for the party's ongoing revolutionary mission. Key takeaways. The rectification movement was instrumental in eliminating ideological flaws like subjectivism and sectarianism, strengthening the party's ideological foundation and internal unity, ensuring the CPC's transformation into a disciplined, Bolshevized revolutionary force. The Seven-Party Congress and its resolutions demonstrated the efficacy of Mao's leadership and ideological clarity, the readiness of the CPC to achieve the nationwide victory of the Chinese Revolution, future assurance. The party's ideological and organizational maturity under Mao's leadership guarantees success in its historical and revolutionary tasks. 9. Conclusion 83. The significance of the Chinese Revolution. Another great revolution. The victory of the Chinese People's Revolution represents a major triumph for Marxism-Leninism in a vast country of nearly 500 million people. It is the second monumental revolution after the October Socialist Revolution, but in a unique context, a country oppressed by imperialism. Unique revolutionary model. The Chinese Revolution under Mao Tse-Tung's leadership crystallized the application of Marxism-Leninism to colonial and semi-colonial countries. This approach demonstrates the flexibility and dynamism of Marxist-Leninist theory in adapting to varying historical and cultural contexts. Theoretical foundations of Mao Tse-Tung's leadership. Lenin's approach to theory. Lenin emphasized that Marxist theory provides general guiding principles, but its application must adapt to the specific conditions of each country, e.g., England, France, Russia. Independent elaboration and contextualization are essential for advancing Marxism in different historical and geographical settings. Marxist-Leninist theory and practice. As stated in the history of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, Bolsheviks' Marxism-Leninism helps the party find the right orientation, foresee future developments, and adapt theory to new historical circumstances. Enriching and advancing the theory requires courage to replace antiquated propositions with conclusions aligned to evolving realities. Mao's courage and creativity. Mao applied Marxism-Leninism to Oriental conditions significantly different from those in Europe. Despite opposition, his innovative theory succeeded, becoming the cornerstone of revolutionary strategy in colonial and semi-colonial countries. Key contributions of Mao Tse-Tung's theory. Protracted revolutionary warfare. Mao's conclusions include waging prolonged revolutionary warfare in the countryside, encircling cities from rural bases before capturing urban centers. These strategies were developed over 2 decades and validated by the success of the Chinese Revolution. Revolutionary bases. Establishing small, scattered revolutionary bases in rural areas and expanding them gradually was essential to eventual nationwide success. These insights have relevance beyond China, influencing revolutionary movements in Southeast Asia and other regions. The irresistible power of Marxism-Leninism. Mao's application of dialectical materialism demonstrated the universal and dynamic nature of Marxism-Leninism. His strategies and conclusions have become models for anti-imperialist struggles worldwide. Global impact of Mao Tse-Tung's theory, a path for colonial and semi-colonial nations. Comrade Liu Shaoqi affirmed in 1949 that the Chinese revolutionary path provides a model for defeating imperialism and domestic reactionary forces, achieving national independence and people's democracy. This path is referred to as the way of Mao Tse-tung. Development of Marxism-Leninism in the East. Mao's theories extend and enrich Marxism-Leninism by incorporating revolutionary experiences from Eastern contexts. These contributions are of universal significance, advancing the global struggle for socialism, guidance for the world revolution. Mao's synthesis of Marxism-Leninism with Chinese revolutionary practice provides valuable lessons for liberation movements globally. The revolutionary strategy he pioneered has broad relevance for countries seeking to overthrow imperialism and establish democratic states. About the author Chen, a member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, is concurrently vice president of the Institute of Marxism-Leninism in Peking and vice president of the Academia Sinica. Before 1937, under the reactionary rule of Kuomintang, he carried on underground work in North China for the party. Throughout the period of the War of Resistance to Japanese aggression, he worked in the Central Committee of the party, making a special study of the Chinese problem. His important writings include The Four Big Families of China, a general study of the land tax in modern China, Yuan Shikai, the Great Usurper, and Chiang Kai-shek, the public enemy of the Chinese people. Mao Tse-tung on the Chinese Revolution was written in commemoration of the 30th anniversary, the Communist Party of China in 1951.